Happy Easter. That doesn't mean Happy Easter because I haven't seen you last Sunday, because in the church, the Feast of Easter is 8 days long. We celebrate the resurrection of the Lord for 8 consecutive days up until today, because there is just so much to take in. It's the summation of all that God has done for us in Christ Jesus. And so we dwell on it day after day in the liturgy, in the Mass readings, and in the divine office. And this year, of course, it's been even more important for us because we had the passing of Pope Francis during that 8-day period. In fact, the next morning after the Feast of Easter. He was a man who reiterated to us the whole meaning of the coming of Jesus, which is the mercy of the Father extended to us. Sometimes we celebrate these feast days as if we are remembering events of the past, things that happened a long time ago and that are important, but they're past. But we have to remember that the things that we are celebrating in our Christian life and our faith are not events of the past. They are events that keep going. The creation, for instance, it didn't happen 14 billion years ago. It's happening all the time. Creation is ongoing. It's continuing, and we're part of it. We're the products of creation, and we continue that creative experience in our world. The redemption of the human family and of the whole universe through Jesus is not something that happened on Calvary on Good Friday. It's something which continues because the mercy of God shown to us then is continually with us and for us down through the ages. And the resurrection of Jesus, his conquest of death and sin, is not just an event of the past, it's a present reality which we experience in our own lives. But as the gospel today shows us, it's something that we're not just the recipients of, but we are the people who are continuing that resurrection experience in our own day. Jesus says to Thomas, "Touch my wounds." The wounds of Jesus are not a past event. They haven't healed. The wounds of Jesus are continuing to this day. If you don't think they are, you're not listening to the nightly news, you're not reading the daily paper. The brothers and sisters of Jesus, the members of the human family which he identified with, made his body, became one of us, are continually suffering down to our own day. And he calls on us, like Thomas, to keep the resurrection experience alive among people by touching the wounds of our neighbors, by healing the wounds of our neighbors as Jesus did. That means relationships within the family, in the neighborhood, in the workplace, at the checkout counter of the local grocery store. Wherever we encounter our brothers and sisters in Christ, we need to bring healing. Sometimes it just means saying a pleasant word and smiling. Sometimes it means apologizing for an affront that we've given. Sometimes it means coming to the aid of the needy, whether they're at our borders or our next door neighbor. The resurrection of Jesus, the work that he did, the great drawing together of the human family and presenting it to the Father, is an ongoing event. And we are participants of it, not just the recipients of it. So as we go into these Easter days, now the 50 days of remembering the living presence of Jesus among us, remember that Jesus is alive. He's broken out of the tomb, and we must not keep him entombed in our own hearts, because that's where he lives today, especially in the hearts of his brothers and sisters who have recognized him, have been baptized into him, who, as St. Paul says, "I live now, but Christ lives in me." Don't let Christ remain in the tomb of your heart, because the world needs that mercy, that experience of God's loving care today more than ever before. as Pope Francis so constantly told us over the last 12 years.